CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Havana calling. CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Radio Havana calling all shortwave listeners and radio amateurs. Welcome to DXers Unlimited, Radio Havana's weekly feature dedicated to the fascinating world of radio communications.
Hola amigos de radio aficionados all around the world. This is the weekend edition of DXers Unlimited, the radio hobby program covering all the more than 91 ways of enjoying our spare time playing with radios, antennas, and accessories. I'm the host, Arnaldo Arnie Coro, Radio Amateur CO2KK, and here's item 1 of today's show. Despite the very poor high-frequency band propagation conditions, low-power radio amateur operators, the QRP enthusiasts, somehow managed to make nice two-way contacts by using CW Morse code radio telegraphy and digital communications modes that are capable of making possible to complete two-way contacts, many QSOs, using those technologies. Single sideband voice with its much wider bandwidth is much more of a challenge when trying to contact stations on any of the high-frequency bands that may be open for DX using just QRP 5 watts or 10 watts limits. My own personal experience with the QRP transceivers at CO2KK, my home radio station, is that calling CQDX on the very much promoted QRP frequencies like 14,060 on 20 meters will make possible to establish contact even when propagation conditions are not at their best. Using the reverse beacon network to sample the state of the ionosphere is easily done by just calling CQ using a CW transmission mode between 10 and 15 words per minute. One important conclusion that I have arrived at since the beginning of 2017 is that we do need more radio amateurs to go on the air. Please do it. Go on the air and call CQ, plus listening in between the CQ calls for weak signals. The reverse beacon network results show that the bands are open with nice signals to noise ratio, but sorry to say, you receive no replies to your CQ calls because so few radio amateurs are on the air at the time that the band is open. If you happen to have a ham radio station ready to operate on the high-frequency band, especially on 80, 40, 30, and 20 meters, and very especially on 40, 30, and 20, by all means use it, amigo. Go on the air and polish your CW Morse code skills on your abilities with the keyboard digital communications modes, and you will not regret the time spent at your station. You will enjoy it a lot. Item 2, also QRP or low-power transmitters related. Recently, I found out that the supply of NPN high-frequency silicon power transistors that are useful for the final amplifier stage of a QRP 5 to 10 watts rig were available at zero cost right here. The fact was that the color guns driver transistors used by the typical cathode ray tube monitor or old cathode ray tube TV sets work very well at the final class C amplifier stage of any of the more common CW transmitters or transceiver circuits. They are easily removed from the metal shielding cage located behind the picture tube power socket. And so far, all of the ones I have recycled proved to be in perfect shape. They were okay, all of them. Another nice source of parts for building QRP low-power rigs power supplies are the compact fluorescent light bulbs. The ones rated between 14 and 20 watts use power transistors that work very well as serious fast voltage regulators for the power supplies. Typical CFL 20 watts light bulb uses two of those transistors that are rated at between 3 or 4 amperes current rating. They are also rated for very high collector to emitter voltage, so you can forget about that. I recently built a power supply for the 5 watts prototype CW transmitter for CO2KK. It was designed to operate as a single band unit for either 20, 30, or 40 meters, and I used two of the BUL128A NPN power transistors recycled from a dead 20 watts compact fluorescent light bulb. They have proven to work very well when treated with a proper heat sink. Don't forget to use the heat sink. Sí, amigos, yes, my friends, even under the present and near future expected poor propagation conditions, you can test your operating skills and enjoy using homebrew transmitters while running just 5 watts of CW or digital modes. Signals whenever the band conditions make possible to establish two-way contacts will be there to be worked. Stay tuned for more radio hub-related information coming up in a few seconds when DXers Unlimited's weekend edition continues after a very short break. Sí, amigos, yes, my friends, this is Radio Havana Cuba, now on the air on the tropical 60 meters band and also on the high frequency shortwave band from 49 to 16 meters shortwave, from around 6 megahertz to around 17.5 to 18 megahertz. And now here is item 3 of this program. The most popular section of DXers Unlimited is, without any doubts, Ask Arnie. It's now on the air and also heard via our streaming audio. Listener Marvin from Colorado, USA sent a request for more information about end-fed wire antennas. Marvin says in his email that there is no way to set up a center-fed antenna, like a half-wave dipole, at his location, but that he has figured out that an end-fed antenna tied to the house chimney can be supported at the other end from a small mast tied to the chain-link fence. He added, and I quote, "Arnie, do I need an antenna tuner with the end-fed antenna?" So I sent him a fast email reply explaining that yes, he will need a wide-range antenna tuning unit and also to use a broadband 9-to-1 impedance transformer at the near end of the antenna. From the broadband transformer, you connect enough length of 50 ohms coaxial cable to feed your antenna tuner that is located right next to your radios. Different wire lengths are recommended for the end-fed antenna. All the tests I have done with my prototype show that about 11 meters is a good compromise, 11 meters overall length. It's a good compromise to operate from 40 meters or 7 megahertz, all the way up to 6 meters or 50 megahertz. Amigo Marvin, this is not a magic antenna at all, but it works. All I can say is that it works much better than an inverted L, and of course it makes a lot of difference with an endorsed magnetic loop that I have used as a reference antenna to compare results. Several end-fed antenna kits are sold around the world, and all I have seen or heard about use a ring ferrite toroid to wind the tri-filar broadband 9-to-1 impedance matching transformer required. But I would like to add that there is no need for the ferrite toroid core because the same results can be achieved by winding the tri-filar 3-wires radio frequency transformer using a ferrite bar. For the standard end-fed high-frequency antenna design that has been tested and used here, both as a permanent and also as a DX field expedition antenna, I have used a 100 millimeters or 4-inch long ferrite rod wound with 10 turns of plastic insulated wires. In order to make it easy to do the required connections to the 9-to-1 ratio transformer, I use wires of different colors. All I can say, amigo Marvin, that even with a 6 meters long thread wire antenna, a short version, I was able to make nice contacts on the 20, 15, 12, and 10 meters bands when propagation conditions were normal or slightly above average. Now about the antenna tuner. This is important. Listen carefully. It's required to use this antenna. My advice is to use a Pi network antenna tuner that can match a wide range of impedances and that will require using good quality airspace variable capacitors with a maximum capacity of around 250 picofarads if you want to operate on the 40 meters band. Smaller capacitors of around 150 picofarads or 100 picofarads will work quite well from 10 megahertz up. Last but not least, the end-fed wire antennas work much better if you add a ground counterpoise wire at the junction box where the radio frequency broadband 9-to-1 matching transformer is located. After many experiments, I found out that adding not 1 or 2, but at least 3 ground counterpoise wires cut as quarter-wave radials for 40, 20, and 10 meters did significantly improve the antenna's performance at the very low cost of several wires right next to the junction box. And yes, amigos, more Radio Hub-related information can be heard here during the middle of the week edition of DXers Unlimited that will be on the air just after the half-hour newscast on Tuesday and Wednesday UTC days. Send your signal reports, comments about this show, and any Radio Hub-related questions you would like me to answer to info-RHC, that's info-RHC, the symbol for @enet.cu. Again, info-RHC at enet.cu or via airmail to Arnie Coro, Radio Havana Cuba, Havana, Cuba.
And that's all for today. This is Arnie Coro, Radio Amateur CO2KK, your host here at Radio Havana's DXers Unlimited, saying 73 and very good DX.
Thanks, Arnie. Arnie Coro with the weekend edition of DXers Unlimited, of DXers Unlimited, heard twice a week here on Radio Havana Cuba on the weekends and in the middle of the week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, UTC days, here on RHC.